All right, tonight, the Department of Government Efficiency is pushing federal agencies to cut thousands more employees after already firing thousands weeks ago. Something Senator Jim Banks says he's in favor of, backing President Trump and the head of DOJ, Elon Musk. IT mate's Farron Franzak spoke to a man who went straight to Senator Banks after losing his government job.
For an IT Mate exclusive, more job cuts are on the way for federal workers at U.S. health agencies, specifically the Department of Health and Human Services. Well, some of those fired HHS employees gathered in the Senate basement out in Washington, D.C., where they spotted Senator Jim Banks Tuesday. One of those men asked Banks about his own firing. News 8's Kyla Russell and I spoke to that fired employee. Take a look.
It's this video that's gone viral. Former Health and Human Services budget analyst Max Schroeder asking Indiana Senator Jim Banks Tuesday in the Senate basement what he plans to do with those laid off from HHS.
These are USAID workers.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude,
wow. Yeah, that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
The video sparking reactions on both sides of the aisle. Schroeder says he's been going to the Senate basement for weeks, not for him, but to find out what will happen to the people he can no longer serve.
Specifically, I was supporting programs in the Administration for Community Living that helped older adults and people with disabilities.
Schroeder says his firing came out of nowhere after the Department of Government Efficiency sent him an email Valentine's Day saying he wasn't meeting performance standards and no longer employed.
Despite having exceptional performance reviews. So it was just sent to thousands of people across the board. And then from there, after that weekend, I was locked out of my equipment and unable to work after that.
Schroeder says he specifically asked Senator Banks how he's going to help his Indiana constituents.
Since there's so many older adults and people with disabilities in every state, I know there are about, I believe, 700,000 people who will lose health services in Indiana from the cuts. I just wanted to speak with him about that. And then the elevator doors just closed, and I didn't get to speak with him after that.
After the video made the rounds on social media, Senator Jim Banks issued this statement, quote, "I went to Washington to decrease the size and scope of the federal government. No one is entitled to a taxpayer-funded job, especially in positions that waste those funds. I fully support President Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency's mission to eliminate waste."
Felt like a very childish kind of attack. I was alarmed and I would say pretty disappointed just to know that he didn't have a response.
Schroeder says this is not a partisan issue because a key part of his job was finding and tracking down Medicare fraud. He says now with the HHS department shrinking, more fraud could happen.
I was a civil servant. I didn't get into this work to really push an agenda forward. And there are, as we know, many civil servants on both sides of the aisle. We serve constituents in Indiana that are part of both parties, is really making sure people get their needs met. And if those services aren't being provided, we're going to have a lot of people who are really upset because they've paid, their fair share in taxes and they're not getting what they're entitled to.
Now, it's important to note that the courts have not made a ruling on these employee firings at the HHS. So technically right now, the HHS firings are not illegal. For IT Mate, I'm Farron Franzak for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.